Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 16 is entitled as Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the divine and demonic nature. Sloka 16. Aneka-citta-vibhrāntā moha-jāla-samāvṛtāḥ prasaktāḥ kāma-bhogeṣu patanti narake śucauu. Such asuric people keep talking so much about their ability, but for how long? Just until the Lord of Death, Yama, pulls him out of the body and drags him into the hell. As these people get closer to their death, their blood pressure increases, heartbeats increases, fever increases, fear increases, but still their strong desires never decreases. It also parallelly increases, even at the time of death. But those who are devoted to the Lord, blood pressure is normal, heartbeat is normal, no fever, no fear of death. But their desires also increases. Difference is towards the Lord, not towards one's own sense enjoyment. Such great devotees eagerly wait for the final day so they can get the audience of the Lord directly, eye to eye, and serve the Lord in person. Let's learn the meaning of the sloka and the translation. Aneka-citta-vibhrāntā, distracted by varied such thoughts. Such asuric people doesn't have a focused thought like that of the devotees. Devotees are focused at the lotus feet of the Lord, whereas the asuric people are vyavasayatmika buddhir ekah kurunandana bahushakahi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. As it has already been stated in the second chapter, that those who are on the path of Krishna consciousness, they have one purpose, one aim, that is Krishna. Whereas those who are not, their thoughts are many branched. Since he doesn't have his thoughts focused, his thoughts are branched, variegated. Aneka-citta-vibhrāntā moha-jāla-samāvṛtāḥ, surrounded by web of weird delusion. Kāma-bhogeṣu, in the enjoyment of desired objects. Prasaktāḥ, deeply engrossed. Śucauu, unclean. Narake, into hell. Patanti, they glide down. Translation. Thus, perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell. Just to refresh, we are in the 16th chapter where Krishna gives the difference between divine and demoniac, Sura and Asura. It is not simply by birth, it is by one's consciousness, their behavior and character. In past few slokas, Krishna is explaining the mentality of asuric people who doesn't believe in the existence of God. They say everything happens because of the union of male and female. They do not stop speaking untruth. They engage in evil deeds and torture all living entities. And his plans and thoughts are beyond his lifetime. He is bound by a network of hundreds and thousands of desires that are absorbed in lust and anger. They secure money by all illegal means to satisfy their senses. He says, I have so much wealth today, I will gain more and more and more. in future. It's all simply because of my ability, not because of any good fortune, not certainly because of God, who doesn't exist. And anyone who comes on my way as an obstacle to attain my desire, I will kill them. I am the richest. I am surrounded by great family, relatives, as I am born in a high-class family. There is no one greater than me, nor there is no one equal to me. I shall perform all kind of sacrifices. I shall give charity. I will enjoy. So such people are highly in mode of ignorance. Therefore their thoughts are variegated. They have many thoughts, which is explained here in this Sloka. Aneka-citta-vibhrāntā. Chittam is another name for manas, mind. Chitta means that which is engaged in thought. When the mind is engaged in thought, it is called chittam. Because his thoughts are numerous, chittam is also stated here as many. It doesn't mean that one has many minds, chittam. It is only one, but its activities are varied and innumerable. Such people always think that they do things without any help from good fortune or from the Lord. They can do everything on their own. Because they have this idea, they are bewildered by weird thoughts like, I will do this, I shall do that as well, I shall do anything, I will kill my enemies, etc. Their contrary knowledge, it's described here in the sloka as aneka-citta-vibhrāntā. Whereas the devotees, sadhus, sees God's hands everywhere. The demon sees their hands everywhere. Because the devotee sees the work of Lord everywhere, they are tension-free, they are not perplexed, there is no anxiety, there is no fear in them, because they know everything is done by the Lord, by His will. Therefore, less that they have to be in fear or anxiety. They have given the control of everything to the Lord. By the way, whether we give control to the Lord or we don't give control to the Lord, it is the Lord who has the complete control. That is known, well known by the devotees, whereas the asuric takes all tension, anxiety, and they get perplexed and get into fearful state, because from starting he thinks he is the doer, he is the controller of both bad and good that happens in his life. He doesn't take any help from the Lord. He doesn't believe in karma. He strongly believes his own ability. Because of that, he is in anxiety. Moha-jāla-samāvṛtāḥ. Jala means net, moha means delusion. Like a fish which is caught in a net. These people have no way to get out of their net of delusion. As we have heard this quite few times, that the action planned in a certain way by man is altered in another way by God. Man proposes, God disposes. People make several plans, but ultimately God determines the plan that need to be executed. God's plan never fails. So, the very thoughts of these people are rooted in delusion and not grounded in reality. Such people always fly above the ground because they think themselves to be great due to their ignorance. Before he could realize, suddenly Mrityu takes over, death takes over, with the cooperation of Kala Devata and then Dharma Devata. Kala-devata, Mrityu-devata and Dharma-devata. Kala-devata determines the time that one must die. Mrityu-devata pulls the soul out of the body, and Dharma-devata gives a judgment. But such people are so busy with their plans, not knowing the Mrityu-devata is right behind them, waiting to knock them off any moment. Prasaktāḥ kāma-bhogeṣu. He is very keenly engaged in fulfilling his desire for enjoyment. As we already studied, that his desires has no limits, no end. It keeps growing with the enjoyment of sense objects. It never gets quenched. It is said, when we pour ghee into the fire becomes stronger. It is said, na jātu kāma-kāmānām upabhogena shamyati havisha krishna vatmane bhuya eva-vibhrāntā. As supplying butter to a fire does not diminish the fire, but instead increases it more and more, the endeavor to stop lusty desire by continual enjoyment can never be successful. One continues to enjoy is like pouring ghee into the fire. These demoniac persons pamper their desire for sense gratification. The desire grows more and more. These people get immersed more and more in sensual enjoyment. So what's going to happen to these people if they continue to do like this? Śucauu narake patanti. As their desire have no limits, and these persons addicted to sensual pleasures are prepared to do many things to satisfy their craving. But before their plans fructify, they die and fall into foul naraka. Foul naraka because it smells bloody, pus, etc. One such person whom we are studying right now, an asuric person, instructed his servants before going to bed for that night that some of the plans have been executed today, few more needs to be completed tomorrow and the following day. I should be able to achieve my goal by my ability this week. I shall take care of all that. So you wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is the instruction given to his servant. Next day morning, the obedient servants, following the instruction of their master, tried to wake the master at 4 a.m. But alas, they couldn't wake him up. The so-called Ishvara, who's lying down there, did not know that the Supreme Ishvara, the Lord, had a different plan for him to have an extended sleep. Extended sleep doesn't mean he is resting in peace, as they say R.I.P. This poor guy is being dragged to the filthy naraka. A person addicted to filthy sensual pleasures can only go to filthy naraka, hell. Srimad Bhagavatam gives a description of various narakas along with their names. Tamishra, Antatamishra, Raurava, Maharaurava, Kumbhipaka, Kalasutra, Asipatravana, Sukaramuka, Antakupa, Krimi-bhojana, Sandamsha, Taptasurmi, Vajrakantaka Shalmali, Vaitarani, Puyodha, Pranarodha, Vishashana, Lalabhaksha, Sarameyadana, Avichi, Hayapana, Ksharakardama, Rakshagana Bhojana, Kshulaprota, Dandashuka, Avata Nirodhana, Paryavartana and Suchimukha. These are only 28 names, but it is said there are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets, because our sins are unlimited, therefore there are unlimited hellish planets. People who do sinful activities must all enter these various planets according to the degree of their impiety. Just to give some idea about these various hellish planets, Tamishra, the people who takes away another man's wife, children or money is arrested at the time of death by the servants of Yamaraj and taken to this hell known as Tamishra. This planet is very dark. Over there, this person is chastised by Yamadutas. They beat him and rebuke him. He is starved and is not given a drop of water to drink. Because of this, sometime he faints. Under Tamishra, this is the destination of a person who slyly cheats another man and enjoys his wife and children, is taken to this hell, under Tamishra. Over there, his condition is exactly like that of a tree which is being chopped at its root. He goes through extreme miseries. Because of this, he loses his intelligence, his sight, and suffers a lot. Raurava is a third hell in this list, where a person who accepts his body as his self. He doesn't differentiate body and Atma. He thinks they are one and the same. Therefore, he works hard day and night for money to maintain his body and to maintain the bodies of his family members. While working to maintain himself and his family, he may commit violence against other living entities. Therefore, he suffers a reaction in the hell called Raurava. Over there, those living entities who were hurt by him appear as animals called Rurus. They inflict very severe pain upon him. There's another hell called Maha-Raurava. Punishment over here is compulsory for a person who maintains his own body by hurting others. Over here in this hell, Maha-Raurava, the Ruru animals known as Kravyada torment him and eat his flesh. The fifth hell, known as Kumbhipaka, for the maintenance of their bodies and for the satisfaction of their tongue, such cruel people cook poor animals and birds to eat them. When they leave their body, they are carried by the Yamadutas to the hell known as Kumbhipaka, where they are cooked in boiling oil. Kala-Sutra, the killer of a Brahmana, is put into this hell known as Kala-Sutra, which has a circumference of 80,000 miles and which is made of copper, heated from below by fire and from above by the scorching sun. We could imagine the surface of this planet, which is extremely hot. Thus, the murderer of a Brahmana suffers being burned both internally and externally. Internally, he is burning with hunger and thirst, and externally he is burning from the scorching heat of the sun and the fire beneath the copper surface. Therefore, he sometimes lies down, sometimes sits, sometimes stands up, sometimes runs here and there. In this way, he must suffer for many thousands of years in this planet. The seventh hell is Asipatravana. If one deviates from the path of Vedas, from the religious principle, such person is taken to this hell known as Asipatravana, where he is beaten up with whips. When he runs hither and thither, from the extreme pain. On all sides there are palm trees with leaves like sharpened swords. Thus, injured all over his body, he faints at every step, and he cries out, "What shall I do now? How shall I be saved?" So this is the condition of those who fail to follow the religious principles that's mentioned in the Vedas. Sūkara-mukha, a sinful king or a governmental representative who punishes an innocent person or who inflicts corporal punishment upon a Brahmana is taken by the Yamadutas to the hell named Sūkara-mukha. Over there, the most powerful assistants of Yamaraj crush him exactly as one crushes sugarcane to squeeze out the juice. The sinful living entity cries very pitiably and faints, just like an innocent man undergoing punishments. This is the result of punishing a faultless person. The ninth hell, Andhakupa. We know that each one gets a particular body based on their karma. Likewise, the low-grade living beings, bugs, mosquitoes, they have their body due to their karma, and they simply suck the blood of human beings and other animals. Such insignificant creatures are unaware that their bites are painful to the human beings. But human beings whose consciousness are much more developed and advanced than these bugs and mosquitoes very well know how painful it is to be killed. Therefore, when a human being who has complete knowledge commits sin by killing or tormenting insignificant creature who have no discrimination, they are taken to the hell known as Andhakupa, where he is attacked by all the birds and bees, reptiles, mosquitoes, leaves, worms, flies, and any other creatures he tormented during his life. They attack him from all sides, robbing him of the pleasure of sleep. Unable to rest, he constantly wanders about in the darkness. Number 10. Krimi-bhojana. A person is considered no better than a crow if after receiving some food he does not divide it among guests, old men and children, but simply eats it himself. Such person after death is put into a hell known as Krimi-bhojana. In that hell, there is a lake of 100,000 yojanas. One yojana, it is said 8 miles. So 800,000 miles wide and filled with worms. This person becomes a worm in that lake and feeds on the other worms there, who also feed on him. Next, Sandamsha. A person who robs things from others are put into hell known as Sandamsha. There his skin is torn and separated by red-hot iron balls and tongs. In this way his entire body is cut to pieces. Tapta-surmi. A man or a woman who indulges in illegal relation with the opposite gender is punished after death by the assistance of Yamaraj in the hell known as Tapta-surmi. Over there, a man or a woman who did such act are beaten with whips. The man is forced to embrace a red-hot iron form of a woman, and the woman is forced to embrace a similar form of a man. Such is the punishment for illicit relationship. Vajrakantaka Shalmali. A person who indulges in illicit act even with animals is taken to the hell known as Vajrakantaka Shalmali. In this hell there is a silk cotton tree which has full of thorns as strong as thunderbolts. The agents of Yamaraj hang the sinful man on the tree and pull him down forcefully so that the thorns very severely tear his body. Number 14. Vaitārani. A person who is born into a responsible family but who neglects to execute his prescribed duties according to the religious principle will fall into the river of hell known as Vaitārani. This river is filled with ferocious aquatic animals. When a sinful man is thrown into the river Vaitārani, the aquatic animals there immediately begin to eat him. That time he constantly remembers his sinful activities and suffers terribly in that river, which is full of stool, urine, pus, blood, hair, nails, bones, marrow, flesh and fat. 15. Puyoda, a man who leads a life like animals. They have no good behavior, no cleanliness, nor regulated life. Thrown into the hell called Puyoda. This also has a ocean which filled with undesirable things, and such person is thrown into this ocean and forced to eat those disgusting things. Pranarodha. If a man who is born as Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya is very fond of taking his pet animals to the forest for hunting and kill animal unnecessarily, he is placed into a hell known as Pranarodha. Over there, the assistants of Yamaraj make him their targets and pierce him with arrows. Vishasana, that's number 17, a person who was very proud of his eminent position and who does sacrifices of animals simply for material prestige is put into the hell called Vishasana. There, the assistants of Yamaraj kill him after giving him unlimited pain. LalGopaldas. If a foolish member of a Brahmana class or Kshatriya class or Vaishya class forces his wife to drink his semen out of a lusty desire to keep her under control, he is put after death into hell known as LalGopaldas. There he is thrown into a flowing river of semen which he is forced to drink. Number 19. Sarameyadana. Over here, a professional plunderer who set fire to others' house, who administer poison to others, who forcefully take income tax, they are put into this hell called Sarameyadana. Over here, there are 720 dogs with teeth as strong as thunderbolts. Under the order of the agents of Yamaraj, these dogs ferociously devour such sinful people. Number 20. Avichi. A person who in his life bears false witness or lies while doing business transaction or put into this hell. Such a sinful man is taken to the top of a mountain which is 800 miles high and thrown head first into the hell known as Avichimat. And this hell has no shelter and is made of strong stones. There is no water there. Although the sinful man is repeatedly thrown from the mountain and his body broken to tiny pieces, he still does not die but continuously suffers the chastisement. Number 21. Ayapana. A person who drinks liquor is taken by the agents of Yamaraj to this particular hell known as Ayapana. Over here, the agents of Yamaraja stand on their chest and pour hot melted iron into their mouth. Please make a note. Just because we are referring the sinful person as he, it doesn't mean that the hells are only for men. Those women who perform such acts are also put into such terrible conditions. Number 22, Ksharakardhama. A person who is totally unqualified, not eligible, but abominable in his action, who becomes very proud, falsely proud, thinking I am great, and who has thus failed to show respect to one who are more elevated than him in many or one of the aspect, is taken to this hell, Ksharakardhama, and thrown head first into this hell. 23. Rakshagana Bhojana. There are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairava or Bhadrakali and then eat their flesh. They are taken to this hell known as Rakshagana Bhojana, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshasas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords, drink their blood, and celebrate the same way that this sinful man did earlier. 24. Śūla-prota. The people who accepted to give shelter to animals or birds that come to them for protection, after making them believe that they will protect them, later such person pierce them with lances or threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. After death, such people are brought by assistance of Yamaraj to the hell known as Śūla-prota, where their bodies are pierced with sharp needle-like lances. There they suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds such as vulture and herons come at them from all sides to tear their bodies. Tortured and suffering, they can then remember the sinful activities they committed in the past. 25. Dandashuka. Those who lead an envious life like a serpent, always angry, giving pain to other living entities, fall into this hell known as Dandashuka, where the serpent with 5 or 7 hoods eat such sinful person, just as snakes eat mice. 26. Avata Nirodhana. Those who confine other living entities in dark wells or in some caves or in cages will be taken to the hell known as Avata Nirodhana. Over there, they themselves are put or pushed into dark wells, where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them and they suffer very severely. 27. Pariyavartana. A householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put into the hell called as Pariyavartana, where such person is gazed by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. And lastly, Suchimukha, one who is very proud of his wealth, who always thinks, I am so rich, no one is richer than me, no one is equal to me. Because of this thought, he does lot of sinful things. Such person is put into the hell called Suchimukha, where the officials of Yamaraja punish him by stitching thread through his entire body like weavers manufacture cloth. As we said earlier in the starting, that these are not limited. There are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets. Every sinful person goes to appropriate hell without fail. One last point before we conclude this long description of hellish planets is one may raise a question that if one is dead here in this world, he leaves the body, then how come he suffers in the hell when he doesn't have a body? How can his eyes can be plucked? How can his bodies can be torn or cut into pieces? How can one put him into the boiling oil? How can one embrace an iron-hot woman? The answer is, those who leave the gross body, they get another body called yatana sharira. This body can go through the pains and pleasure, but it will stay as it is. When the hands are cut, the hands comes back. When the body skins are torn, the skins comes back. It is because that this sinful person can suffer that pain multiple times. To conclude, such people believes that they can achieve everything by their own effort, with no need for help from any good fortune, God, etc. These people are pulled and pushed by their restless mind, desiring for innumerable sense objects. They are ensnared by the net of delusion, excessively engaged in sensual enjoyment. They die in midst of all this and fall into a foul naraka. Aneka-citta-vibhrāntā, moha-jāla-samāvṛtāḥ, prasaktāḥ kāma-bhogeṣu, patanti narake śucauu. Namaste. Hare Krishna.